This video is a tutorial on the basics of the IntelliBid estimating software. IntelliBid is a very powerful program, but it's also very easy to use. So I want to show you how to do a takeoff of just these items you can see on this drawing, some receptacles, fixtures, and switches. So to start off, I'm going to create a new job. Click the Jobs button over here, and then click New Job. And I'll enter a sample name here, Tutorial 100 Commercial Street. And I can leave everything else as the default, so hit OK. So down at the bottom I have these tabs with information that I could enter. I don't actually need to enter this for the purposes of this tutorial. So let's go right to the takeoff screen. So I'm going to click Takeoff. So now I'm in the takeoff screen, and this middle area is where I'm going to take my items and assemblies from the library, put them in there just like if you've used a green sheet before. You've got headers across the top with the description, material, pricing, labor units, all of that. With IntelliBid, you're also able to organize your project as you go. So I have these phases, subphase, level, and so on. And if I were doing a project with multiple buildings, I could break the project down by building. I could break it down by floor, subfloor. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we'll keep it simple. We'll just put it right into the phase directly. So I'm going to be taking off some receptacles. So I'm going to switch to the devices phase. And now you can see at the bottom my library has also switched to some devices. So I'm going to pick this single gang duplex receptacle with branch. And then in the next screen I need to tell IntelliBid what type of branch. So we use EMT, and the environment is going to be metal stud bar joist ceiling. So I click that. Now IntelliBid needs to know what particular receptacle to use. So we'll use a 20 amp commercial grade receptacle using 3/4 inch EMT and number 12 wire. So I just click here. And now I have my assembly group screen. And I'm going to pick a painted metal plate, 5/8 inch rise, plaster ring. And for the EMT, I'll use steel set screw connectors and couplings. And I'll put in a grounding wire. So I can preset all of these things using job spec to save time, but for the tutorial I'm just keeping it simple by doing everything manually. So now I'm going to click Takeoff. So I'll do 10 devices. Average feet for the EMT, we'll use 25. And then wires in pull, this is how many wires, not including the ground. So 2 wires plus ground, so I'll enter 2. And now you can see I've got all of the items that make up this assembly. I've got everything I need to install these 10 receptacles, including the receptacles themselves, the plates, wire, EMT, everything. And it's been extended out. I have my preset material pricing, I have my labor, and if you come down to the bottom here, I've got my material total and my labor total. So using assemblies, you can see how quickly you can build up material and labor based on just a few questions answered, and it saves you a lot of time. So that is it for this first section. You've already taken off some receptacles, and you can actually start to just use the program on your own, explore the libraries, take off some more assemblies, and as you go you'll always have the material and labor totals down here to reference. We're going to continue with the next part of this video doing some more items and assemblies. So I want to show you another way to take off material, and that's using IntelliBid Explorer. So come down and click on IntelliBid Explorer. Now this is for picking individual items, not assemblies. And I like the grid view. You can preset it by clicking grid up here. So I'm going to take off just the receptacle that we had in the assembly. So I'll click Devices and Plates. And then Receptacles is already picked. And I'll pick this commercial 20 amp receptacle. So click OK. And I just have to enter my quantity. So we'll do 10. And now I have that single line item added to my takeoff. So let me do that again. I'll do the painted metal plate this time. So IntelliBid Explorer, Devices and Plates, and painted metal plates, and then the single gang duplex. So I can double click, and 10 And there I've got my takeoff again. So if you need to quickly find an individual item, the IntelliBid Explorer is a great way to do that. So in my takeoff view, all of these different numbers are adjustable. I can go in here and change the quantity for my assembly. So let me enter 15. And now when I hit OK, you can see that it changed that quantity, and it also recalculated everything, including the material and labor. So that's a great way to adjust things quickly. If I wanted to delete something, I can just click and drag to select, and then right-click and go to delete, and that removes those lines from the takeoff. They go into this deleted items area, and then you just click it again to go back to the takeoff. So now I want to take off another assembly. Let's do the switches. And in this case, we're going to use the switches without branch. We'll take off the branch separately. So I go down here to switches, no branch, click that. And now I'll take off my switches using boxes with MC clamps so I can run MC cable separately. So I click here, and we'll do a single pole 15 amp switch. I've got my assembly view, if you have that feature, up here on the upper right. And we'll do painted metal plate and the 5/8 inch rise again. So take off, and we'll do 4 of these. And now I've got my assembly for those switches. So to close the windows down at the bottom, you can click the close box, or you can right-click in the white area. So now I need to do the branch for those switches. So I go to my phase and branch. You can see down here at the bottom the library has switched to branch. So I'm going to pick the concealed metal stud catalog, and I'm going to use this assembly MC on metal stud. We'll use 12-2 wire with ground. So this time I'm entering the total length of the MC cable for all 4 switches. So I'll just use 50 feet for that. Number of connectors, I'll use 8. So now I have my branch assembly. And again, I've got everything I need to do this work, including the cable and the connectors. Now I want to do one more takeoff, and we're going to do some fixtures. So I'm going to put them in the fixtures phase. To do that, I'm going to come up here and click Phase Fixtures. Okay, so now I'm in the Fixtures phase, and the library has automatically switched to fixtures for me. So I'm going to use this fixture assembly with branch, and we're installing in T-bar bar joist ceiling, and we'll use 3/4 EMT, and we'll use one of these LED fixtures, the 2x4 lay-in. So this is the assembly group screen, and if you recall, we had to pick some options last time. In this case, I've used job spec to preset, so I don't have to go through and click all of these. I can go right over to takeoff. So click takeoff. And now you can see this time I've got a few more questions. I need to enter, of course, the number of fixtures, so we'll do 6 fixtures, but it's asking me the mounting height, so we'll put 15, and the fixture mounting height 12. So that's the height of the bar joist and then the height of the T-bar. So this allows IntelliBid to do some calculations. In this case, it's going to calculate the length for the MC cable. So fixtures per box, that's how many fixtures I'm going to run to each junction box. So we'll do 3 fixtures per box. Average feet, let's use 15 feet. Wires and pole, we'll use 2. So based on those questions, it created this assembly. We have our 6 fixtures. We have 2 junction boxes and EMT, MC cable, again, everything that we need to install these fixtures. And it's all been calculated out. And again, the labor and material result, you can come down here. I'm going to close this window so I can see. But I've got my totals here. This is for this particular phase, the $85. And then over the whole job, I have $707. And I can come in here and adjust anything, such as changing my number of fixtures. I can enter 8. And it will recalculate instantly. And go back to 6. If you look over here, you can see that the fixture itself does not have a preset material price, and that's because obviously fixtures get quoted. So I'm going to show you how to do a quote. I'm going to come over to the bid recap button, click that. Now anything that is labeled for prompt is going to prompt me. I can just skip that. So now I'm in the bid recap section. This is where I'm going to assign my workforce. I'm going to do quotes, any equipment that I need on this project, and then doing my final overhead, profit, taxes, bond, everything that I need to finalize my bid. And I also can run reports, all in bid recap. So let me click on the quotes tab, and I'll right click on fixtures to add a quote. We'll do $900. Normally I would get more than one quote, but for this tutorial I'll just select this one. I can leave everything else blank for now. I'm going to go right over to direct labor, and this is where I assign my work crew for this project. IntelliBid is defaulted to 1 journeyman and 1 apprentice. I've got 40 hours of work for my takeoff, and so it's given each 20 hours. Anything in red you can enter, and it will automatically calculate for the rest of this page. All we have to do on this tab for our tutorial is enter these two values. This is the dollars per hour for these workers. So I can enter 40, and then let's enter 20 for the apprentice. You can see that it came over and multiplied the hours times the rate to get the extension for this worker and then this worker, and the total down here, $1,200. So this is all you have to enter for the basics, but it is good to come in here and experiment and see what adjusting the crew makeup does. So I can add a second apprentice, and now I can see because I changed my work crew, my overall labor price has gone down a bit. So I can switch this back to 1. Okay, so now click on Final Price, and on this page is where I enter things like tax, my overhead and profit. So I can enter 8% for tax just as a demonstration. I've already got my database material entered from the takeoff, $700, quoted material for the fixtures, $900. So material total here. And then from my direct labor tab, I have $1,200 in labor costs. So my subtotal one, this is my labor and material only, $2,937. Now for overhead, I'll enter again a demonstration value of just 5%. You can calculate this for your own company and enter it in here. So then subtotal 2 becomes my true cost to do this project, including everything except for profit. So I'm going to enter, again, 5% as a demonstration for profit. So now I've got my bid price, $3,238. So again, we've come to a stopping point where we've done some takeoff, we've done a quote, we created our crew, and we put in our final values for tax, overhead, and profit. So now you can go use IntelliBid to do some basic takeoff and to put together some numbers and get used to the flow of the program. Now I want to show you a couple more things, one of which is the reports. You can come up here to the upper right and pull up some different reports. I'll show you the bid overview report. This report is basically a printout of these same tabs. Now the last thing I want to show you is a little more detail on the phase tree. I'm going to close my bid recap tab. Now I'm back in takeoff. So when I did this takeoff, these items are all going into the fixtures phase. And if I go to branch, I can see what I put in the branch phase. Now, if you're doing a project, normally you would set up subphases to help model how the project is actually going to be built. Setting up the project organization happens over here on the phase tree. So these are the same phases that I was working with in the takeoff. I'm going to add a subphase to each one of these. So I click subphase, and it will add a single subphase to branch, but I want to add it to all of them at once. So I click Smart Fill, and then subphase, and now I need to type in the name, so I'll put first floor. And now I can add the second floor by clicking subphase again. And now you can see it's added a first and a second floor to all my phases. So understanding and using the phase tree is key to a lot of the features of IntelliBid. This is where you're going to create essentially a work breakdown schedule. This is where you're going to use job spec to preset things on the job. And as you begin to do takeoff, it's good to think through how you're going to organize the project. Now the material that I took off is still in the branch and hasn't been put into the first floor or the second floor. So let me show you how to move some takeoff into these subphases. I'm going to go back to my Takeoff tab, and I can cut and paste material. So I'm going to select these, right-click, cut, and those weren't in any subphase at all. That's why this is blank. But if I click here, now I see I can pick the first floor. Now I'm in the first floor subphase under branch, and I can right-click, paste insert. I can leave this as the default, OK. Now this material is in the first floor. Anything else I take off at this point is automatically going to go in the first floor. If I wanted to add something to the second floor, I could go here, then pick some material from my library. So I'll pick the same MC cable again, the 12-2, and I'll do the same 50 feet and 2 conductors. So now this MC cable I just took off, it's automatically under branch, second floor. So now I've shown you just a little bit of how the phase tree works. As you can imagine, organizing your project in this way with detailed subphase, level, and so on is a great way to help you not only in bidding, but also for project managers to take your bid and already have some organization in place. They'll already have hours and materials by work breakdown that they can hit the ground running on the project. A great advantage that comes from using the phase tree in IntelliBid. So just with a few minutes of learning, now you can go and use the software to do some takeoff, and you'll be able to create bills of material, do your labor calculations, and actually come up with final bid price just with what you've already learned. And once you have some practice doing that, you can go on to learn some of the other features of the program. You can learn from the help system. There's some great tutorials in there, and you can also watch some additional videos. If you go up here to the home button and click on online videos, we have many videos on all kinds of different topics to help you keep learning, because IntelliBid is such a powerful tool. It'll help you in your business right from the start, doing simple takeoff, but using the power of assemblies and the power of the way the program is laid out. Very easy to use, very easy to get started with, but with the features that will help you keep bidding faster, but maintain accuracy and consistency, and the flexibility to adapt the system to the way you run your business.